Good morning. Thank you for joining the second session of the Hawaii is Hiring virtual job fair. We hope that you have had a chance to already visit some of the employer booths in the expo. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Kayala Peters, Vice President of Education and Workforce Development at the Chamber of Commerce. And we're so glad that you've taken time to be with us today and take the step in the next step of your career. So a question for you. Did you know that LinkedIn has been around longer than Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram? It's crazy, right? So this social media platform remains relevant now more than ever. And increasingly, recruiters and hiring managers across the country are using LinkedIn to search for top talent. But how do you get your LinkedIn profile noticed? Before I turn things over to our guest speaker, Shawna Tarver, let's do a quick poll. So I want to address your attention to the space on your screen that says poll above the chat. And the question is, how many of you actually have a LinkedIn account? So if you'll go to the poll and take the poll now, that'll start us off with some great data to level set. So we'll give you a moment to complete the poll. You'll just select yes or no. The poll should be populating now, and we'll wait for the results. We'll give it just a few seconds. And while we wait for your results, I just want to introduce Shawna Tarver. So joining us today to answer your questions and help us understand how we can make sure our LinkedIn profile gets noticed by recruiters is Shawna Tarver, recruiter with Microsoft. And she'll be sharing with us her how-to presentation, again, on Get Noticed, Build Your Professional Line. And we'll check and see if we have any poll results. I don't see them yet. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Shawna, who will take us through her presentation. Shawna, all yours.
Thank you. What a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. Everyone, I would love to be on video with you today. However, there was a little bit of streaming issues, but that's okay, right? It's all about being flexible and adjusting. So again, aloha. My name is Shawna Tarver. I am a talent sourcer recruiter at Microsoft Global Acquisition Team, go-to-market. The roles I typically source for are your technical sales and technical managers. Also, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO Sherry Minora McNamara, Trisha Fatui, and my coach influencer Christina Cook at Hawaii's Microsoft Community Development Specialist. It is again great privilege to be here with you today. So the goal of my presentation, again, is to get you inspired to take action in building your professional brand online with powerful, transformative information and insight on how to best search for jobs through LinkedIn, apply to roles, and then networking, right? Coupled with continuous learning. Because why am I doing this today? Because of course, 70 to 80% of jobs are sometimes not even published, typically. And by building a win-win ecosystem of relationships is critical to your success in your search. All right, next slide, please. At Microsoft, we live and breathe our mission. It is the fabric of what we do. It's in our day-to-day lives. It's part of our core. Again, so Microsoft mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And again, I'm so grateful to be here, and hopefully I can do that with you. And then we have LinkedIn. So LinkedIn's mission, of course, is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. Just to share some data insights with you, LinkedIn leads a very diversified business. In 2016, Microsoft completed its acquisition with LinkedIn, bringing together the world's leading professional cloud and world's leading professional network. Let's just say this, most of my time spent sourcing for passive talent, external talent, similar to a lot of job seekers right now. LinkedIn is my platform of choice, okay? So We're going to talk about building that professional profile. Next slide. Now, of course, welcome to LinkedIn. Look at that number, 706 million members in more than 200 countries and territories worldwide make LinkedIn the world's greatest online professional network. And some more information to share with you is more than 2 new members per second create profiles. So from a recruiter standpoint, what I like to say is that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit available by the click of my keyboard, right? So that means, of course, LinkedIn is powerful. There's so much opportunity within this platform. Again, not to only apply for jobs, right? To search for jobs, but to network and to grow. And again, 706 million members. Next slide, please. Now, what I also wanted to have you take away with this information is remember, LinkedIn is for the professional you. Um, it's a way for you to build your professional life. Uh, most social networks showcase your personal life, who you talk story with, who you share, funny cat memes with. LinkedIn shows who you are as a professional in a working environment. LinkedIn gives you also the platform to build your professional identity and relationships. Again, it is not Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, nothing of that sort. Again, it's professional and professional you. Next slide. Trisha, you're doing great on this slide share. All right. Some more great information. I love data, right? So 9 out of 10 company recruiters use LinkedIn. So there are hundreds and thousands of recruiters on LinkedIn, such as myself, right? From various industries looking for job seekers just like you. There are some companies now, right, because of COVID-19, that are more welcome and open to remote work. So we are in a pandemic, right? It's tough out here, and just know that there are companies who are, working with opportunities and very committed to the remote work. But how do you find those opportunities, right? So there was a great presentation earlier about, Indeed, right? There's a great way to search opportunities through there, and then LinkedIn. But also building your brand and building your professional network will really help uncover those opportunities. And then also, when you create an attractive LinkedIn profile, you're building your brand. So you're putting yourself where the job finding action is, right? There's a lot of activity happening on LinkedIn platform. And we're going to get into some more of the weeds and into understanding what the activity is. Next slide, please. LinkedIn can also help build your professional, again, your identity, and then connect you to a professional community. It will also allow you to stay informed about industry trends and job opportunities. And of course, the goal is to land you your next new opportunity, job, career. It's also a great platform if you ever thought about transforming into a new, say career path. You can start gathering information and insights from those influencers or those who within those fields that are open to sharing details about what they do in their day-to-day life. So opportunities are endless. Next slide. Again, my presentation goals is for you to walk away with the knowledge of how to create an attractive overview of your passions and goals and abilities. Also, the opportunity to develop a profile to show what you stand for and what you can do. And then to also build your brand by connecting with others and sharing what you know. That is my goal, right? In terms of what I would like to provide and offer you today. Next slide. Now, of course, a great starting point is for great starting point for connecting with professionals is to create a great profile. Now, if you have already created a LinkedIn profile, fantastic. That's awesome. I promise you, you will get more information that will help enhance what you already have. For those who have not created a LinkedIn profile, please take a snapshot of the website for future reference. And please note towards the end of the presentation, there will be additional learning opportunities that will enhance your learning and growing virtually and professionally. Next slide. So what's in a LinkedIn profile? Also, we don't have a lot of time today, right, to go over the presentation in terms of how to create a profile, right? A lot of the important areas of a profile. Just know that I will provide you with some of the main elements that make a really great profile, right? And share those tips with you. So after you leave today, it's virtual job fair, you can start making the best profile that you possibly can imagine, right? With the resources today. And so also some really great insights that I will share with you. Next slide. So first things first, right? In order to make a really great LinkedIn profile is to select a photo that represents you professionally. Again, a photo that represents you professionally. Profiles with photos get 21 more times of views, okay? This helps personalize your profile and make you more approachable. Now, you don't have to enlist in a professional photographer, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Okay. I know we have some really great photographers out there, personal, even yourself, right? So just make sure it's a professional photo. And the cool thing about LinkedIn, they have edit options too. So next slide. And then another critical piece of your profile is to complete your introduction. Your profile and your introduction is the front page of your story, right? So this is where, as a recruiter, I'm sourcing candidates, and based off how I found you, I do a really strategic Boolean search. For those who are familiar with Boolean, that's how I, of course, come across great talent. I connect with my managers, the business, my stakeholders, and they tell me a little bit about what they're looking for, right? And based off what they're looking for, I create a strong Boolean search that goes out and finds the candidates. And then from there, I get into their summary. I want to know, what is it about their story? So it's important, right? Also to include the location. That's a great way for recruiters to find you. So not only am I sourcing for skill sets and experiences, but sometimes, of course, there are roles that are regionally focused. And so if I'm working on a role in Hawaii, then of course I'm targeting the state of Hawaii, right? So just remember that location is important. But your headline is also a great way to showcase your value. It describes who you are at work, what you do, and what your title may be. With your professional headline, there's a 120 character limit. Typically, we say that have anything like maybe it's just 40. That's great, but use all the character counts you can, right? Because the more, the better for me, or at least for me as a recruiter for Microsoft, because I want to know more about you and see if there's an opportunity for us to have a conversation. Also, pay attention again to your summary. So adding a summary, again, make sure profile more likely, as I mentioned earlier, is to be able to turn up in my search, right? So when you are applying for a role, or let's say that you're focusing on a particular industry, think about those industry keywords or terms that are being used or certifications within the industry. It's important to add those in your profile, right? Because that's how we find you. But also show your personality and be creative. Describe what motivates you, what your interests are. One of my interests is I love cycling. I miss it dearly. Might have to get me a bike, but that's one of my interests, and I also love cupcakes. I seriously do. I love cupcakes, right? And so even though it might not be, but that's who I am, right? And so you'll find that some people find it very funny, but that's who I am. So describe who you are, but again, keep it professional. And then tell the world why you want to work in a particular field. Why is this important to you, right? Passion. If you have that passion, describe it. Let me see it. Let us see it. Let us know who you are. Next slide. Also, yeah, fantastic. The next slide, please. Thank you, Trisha. You're so awesome. With your detailed, make sure you're detailed in your education and experience. List your current and past schools and jobs, even if they were part-time. Okay. Highlight school experiences, school leadership experiences, work experiences, whatever you can do that definitely showcases who you are and your experience in terms of growth within the job market. Showcase. We want to see it. Just remember that your profile is 12 times more likely to be viewed if you have more than one position listed. Again, we're looking at growth. And so, and also adding causes that you care about is a great way to also round out your profile. So if you're someone who likes to volunteer, that's also great, right? It shows, again, your personality. And then, and if you think about, of course, Microsoft mission, empowering others and organizations to do more, that I live by that passion and that mission, right? So it's all about giving back. So if that's also something that you value, put it on your profile. Let's see it. Next slide. All right, skills. It's important to list your skills. Every possible skill that you can think of, I would say list it. Because again, coming from a recruiter standpoint, when we create a search, right, looking for a specific profile, those skills really help, again, hone in on your profile being part of our search, our list, our output. So get them, of course, on your profile, and then also get your skills endorsed. Members with 5 or more skills are contacted up to 31 times more than more by recruiters and other members. And then take a look at your connection profiles and get an idea what skills to add. Sometimes it's okay to leverage, someone else's, profile who may be in the same industry, right? Take a look, be specific. Your connections can endorse things for you as well. So yes, add your skills. Don't skip on that piece. Next. All right. Building your brand. Just remember this. Networking takes time, right? But once you are dedicated to networking, just go for it, right? So when you think about building your brand, in addition to spotlighting, your great professional profile, LinkedIn can also help you build your brand by helping you network both professional contacts, colleagues, and influencers. LinkedIn can also connect you with professional groups and key influencers of interest. It also gives you a platform to share what you know and how to build your professional voice, right? So when you think about, let's say, depending on the industry, um, share those stories. Be a thought leader, right? And as a thought leader, share a little bit about what you know in terms of, the industry. And especially when you think about forward thinking about where the industry is going and how so much has impacted and what you can do to bring value. And of course, during the presentation, I'll give you some examples of how to be able to do that. But think about what you can add to the community, the professional community, as you continue to build your brand. Next slide. And the reason why this is so important is because it is true. Okay. As ever, that it truly is. It's, who you know is just as important as what you know. Right. So if we go back, Trisha, you don't have to go back, but if we think about the slide, there's 750 million members on LinkedIn, right? Just know that referrals are the most common way to get a job, okay? Most of my hires, I would say last fiscal year, were from referrals. It's about, about who you know sometimes. And so building your network of connections is a great way to set yourself up for excellent job referrals. Especially if you already have a professional brand out in LinkedIn, a community within your peers or colleagues or connections. If a role opens right within their visibility, they're going to think about you, right? Especially if you reached out to them and addressed that, hey, I'm looking for a new opportunity, right? They're going to remember that, especially if you're working with recruiters, they're going to remember that. I may not have a position for you right now, but as soon as one opens, trust me, I will be in contact with you. So now let's take a look how easy this is. Next slide. All right. So let's say you've never done this before, right? We talked about building a profile, right? Now what? First things first, to get yourself warmed up, right? To getting out there, connect with people that you know first, right? So start with your friends, start with your family, co-workers, previous, current, professors, right? And then don't forget, please personalize your invitations to connect. Please don't just send a general message, I just want to connect. No, tell me why, right? Now, of course, with your family and friends, that may be different, but when you're reaching out to professionals, right, really have a true understanding of why you're reaching out to them, right? Um, so, again, reach out to contacts at every stage of your career, too, after every meeting or conference. Strategically connect with your contacts you have met on LinkedIn and send them a personal note. Even send them a personal note if they shared something that you commented on, but wanted to maybe have a little bit more, I would say, intriguing conversation, right? To share your thoughts, maybe one on one. Yes, feel free, do that, right? It builds your credibility and your, again, putting yourself out there as an expert, a thought leader. And then also, as you continue to build your brand online, don't forget to give and request recommendations. That also helps, again, build your credibility in terms of what you have done, whether it be in your previous position or what you're doing within the community. It really definitely helps. And then let's see here, post and comment on the groups you've joined. So just don't join a group or, a page, be part of that community, right? And be a thought leader. So next slide. In addition, of course, to building a network of connections, joining a group is another way to, again, plug in into LinkedIn. And the easiest way to start could be to search for groups related to your passions, um, your interest, schools, universities. You can also search to see if employers are who are interested, if you're interested in have their own groups, right? So think about some of the employers that you number one employers of choice for you. Follow their page, right? Learn about what's going on with their company, especially with COVID-19 happening and so many things are changing, right? Follow their CEOs, right? Start being in the know of everything that goes on within the community and be part of the conversation. Next slide, please. Also, share articles, right, or other content-rich websites from LinkedIn homepage. This is called sharing an update. So you can also share, you can include links and upload photos, right? Again, it's just getting yourself out there, being seen, right? Of course, you want to be seen, but also you want to connect for the opportunity of a lifetime. Next slide. You can also publish an article. That's another great way to establish your voice in the professional field. I have a lot of colleagues who are very passionate about certain topics who publish an article, then they post it to their LinkedIn, which gives the community an opportunity to comment or share, right? And so then at that point, depending on the content that's being shared, they're being considered as a thought leader, right? Or someone who's very knowledgeable in a particular industry. That leads to referrals, right? That leads to recruiters who are looking at specific talent. And if you are definitely aligned to, the roles that they're supporting, they're going to reach out to you because now they know you by name and sometimes by face too. Next slide. All right. Also, please take this information here. I mean, there's a lot of great information, hopefully, that I shared with you, but this is really, really important. Keep learning, which demonstrates, of course, by you keeping, tabs on your learning, right? It demonstrates your aptitude and passion for what matters most to you. But again, why is this super relevant? Learning is also a great way to demonstrate your commitment to your own professional growth. A great learner is an innovative team member. They're a trusted team member. It's all about the growth mindset. Updating your technical skills and business acumen every 6 months really helps you stay current with evolving technologies and industry developments. We are seeing this today, ladies and gentlemen. Um, that, of course, the skills that we've had, right, or have, how do they relate to today's needs? So you got to keep learning, you got to keep growing, learn the skills that you want to be known for, right? So be strategic in what you want to do. What is your plan, right? And know that it does take time, but if you constantly and consistently, uh, strive for that success, something is going to give. And now, when you learn that, hopefully, and you've learned some great information here, but now that you have this information, now you are powered and equipped with going out into LinkedIn and sharing that information. So if you go through a certification program and you receive a certificate of certificate or something, make sure you post that. Let the world see your accomplishments, right? When I come across a profile and I see someone who has a certification Azure fundamentals, I know exactly which role that I want to consider them for. So now all I have to do is reach out to them, right? Just by seeing that one certification, I know exactly which hiring managers will love that particular individual. So continue to keep learning, and achieves your greatest currency, right? So what is important to you? Map that out, create a roadmap, um, and learn the skills that, again, is the greater currency to you. Next slide, please. All right. Now I am super excited to share this with you. For those who are on LinkedIn, I don't know if you had a chance. This was, circulated a lot, but of course, around the Microsoft launch initiative to help 25 million people worldwide acquire digital skills. Um, it was posted on June 30th. So around the world, we all know this, 2020 has emerged as the most challenging year in our lifetime, right? In 6 months, the world has endured multiple challenges, including a pandemic that has spurred a global crisis. As societies reopen, it's apparent that the economy will not be what it was in January, right? And so one of the key steps needed is to foster a safe and successful environment. Recovery is expanded access to digital skills needed to fill these new roles out that are being created as we speak. And one of the keys to a generally inclusive recovery are programs to provide easier access to digital skills for people hardest hit by job losses, including those with lower incomes, women, and underrepresented minorities. To help address this need, again, on June 30th, Microsoft launched a global skills initiative aimed to bringing more digital skills to 25 million people worldwide by the end of this year. This is exciting news, right? So if this is the first time you're hearing this, all right, buckle up. There's more information for you here. This initiative will bring together every part of our company, combining existing and new resources from LinkedIn, GitHub, and of course, Microsoft. Next slide, please. And in partnership with LinkedIn, and I will read you their mission again, is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. LinkedIn is contributing by making 14 learning paths available for free until March 2021. These learning paths consist of a series of videos online. All 14 courses come with a free certificate of completion that learners can add to their LinkedIn profile. I'm going to pause and have you take a look at some of these careers in demand. And know that, again, I will repeat, LinkedIn is contributing by making these learning paths free until March 2021. Next slide, please. In order to access this information, this is the website. Go ahead, take a snapshot. But when I heard about this, I was like jumping for joy, right? Because again, working for a great company that empowers the world, and now is offering something so great to help skill up, so many individuals that will lead into great careers, is phenomenal. Next slide. All right. Something super important that I ask that you do for me today. For those who really enjoyed this presentation, right? Please go out there to the Microsoft.com Honolulu website. And I want you to register for Rock Your LinkedIn Profile, right? By you doing that, not only will enhance what we talked about today, but there's some great instructors over there that will really help take your LinkedIn to the next stage, right? Your profile. They'll teach you all the ins and outs of creating that fabulous profile that we talked about that gets recognized by recruiters and leaders in the industry. Now, for those who haven't established a LinkedIn profile, same rules apply to you. Go ahead and go to that website, register. There's actually a class right after this job fair. And if you're unable to make it today, we have classes on Thursday as well as Friday. So the next slide, I'll show you how there's step-by-step instructions on how to be able to schedule for the workshop, but make sure you do that today so you can go right in there and apply the knowledge that was provided to you and just enhance what you already have, or if you need to build. So next slide. So what you want to do is to follow the instructions on how to, of course, schedule the workshop, right? And then make sure you register. So it's a two-step, okay? Now, the thing I want you also to remember, after you register, you will receive an email, but sometimes those emails are routed to your spam or your junk folder for whatever browser that you use. Just check there too, okay? But just know we got some resources coming your way today, and I hope that you all take advantage of the opportunities that have been presented to you today. Next slide. So this slide here is, so what is your next step? I have a screen here, right? Black screen. It's like, what is your next step? Fill in that slide for me, right? I want you to really take a look out inside, right, of what you want to do in terms of your career progression or goals, right? What are your aspirations? And make a conscientious effort to take the steps, right? So there's been there's some information that's going to be presented to you today by numerous of professionals who are dedicated and to want to help you grow or whatever it is that you want to do in terms of finding a job, career, just building a brand. Take that information and again, what is your next step? Make it happen. Next slide. And mahalo, thank you. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That is my page there, my hyperlink. And then if you have questions about LinkedIn, there is the help center. Let's just, they're there to help you too. If you have questions regarding whatever technical issues, they're here to help you as well. So thank you.
Great. Shawna, thank you. What wonderful information, particularly about the training, both the Rock Your Profile as well as the digital skills and learning path. So we strongly recommend that job seekers pursue both of those. So I will moderate a few minutes of questions and we'll continue to get some insights from you, Shawna. First question for you has to do with writing your headline. And the question is, I'm struggling with writing a succinct headline and yet making it personalized. Can you give me any advice on how to approach it?
Well, the way I would look at it is thinking about the type of role that you want, right? Also thinking about the industry. So in my case, it would be, let's say that as a recruiter, I wanted to enhance my headline. I might put something like, rockstar recruiter, at Microsoft with passion for technology and changing lives, right? So again, put in there, of course, your job title, what it is, and then also something related to your industry, right? If you're a nurse, changing lives and being, whatever that may be that's tied to that industry, add that to your headline. Like, I remember when, as recruiters, when we source candidates, the first thing we do in terms of our output, what we see is your headline. So make it stand out, make it where I want to connect with you, right? I want to learn more about you. Make it where it ties into your mission statement, your company's mission statement. That really is helpful.
Great. Thank you. Our second question is from Jack, and Jack works in the events and hospitality industry here in Hawaii, and he's interested in transferring his skills into the technology industry, potentially even at Microsoft. And so Jack is wondering what advice you have for him to be able to transfer industries.
Yes, first place, especially for Microsoft, right? Microsoft has a learning site called Microsoft Learn, right? So if you were to go to your web browser, if you were to go to Bing, not Google, right, and type in Microsoft Learn, there is a ton of resources that tie into the tech industry. There's also certification paths that one could invest in. So that's a start, right? So, and then building up, I would say, your education in that space first. And then looking for, I would say, internships. And we usually host internships once a year here at Microsoft. So that would be a start, definitely, for sure, is building up your technical acumen.
Thank you. And I would add, Shawna, for Jack, that here in Hawaii, we see that there are about 830 jobs posted for help desk positions. And so these are positions that that hospitality, maybe concierge and front desk folks could segue into if they had something like the CompTIA certification. And so we want to help people think about being able to gain certain certifications and transfer into new industries. So think about that, Jack. Shawna, our next question. So, and this is actually my question. 88% of the folks in our poll already have a LinkedIn profile. And so the question for you is, what's one of the most overlooked things that people do or don't do with their LinkedIn profile?
I love this question. The summary, telling your story. Okay, so when I'm sourcing for candidates, right, I can only go by my experience. And I come across a candidate's profile with maybe, one sentence in their summary. I want to know more about you, right? So yes, that is the most overlooked, is the summary. So key takeaways, remember that summary is your face, right? That's what we see. That's what we get excited about. We got to tell your story to the business, right? So help us help you.
Wonderful. And let's see. So by coming to today's virtual job fair, our job seekers here in Hawaii have taken a really, really bold, important first step, and we applaud and acknowledge them for that. But my last question for you, Shawna, is what is the one thing you want to implore folks to do today to get started with the next step in their career?
All right. I would say one of my favorite quotes by Satya Nadella is, be passionate and bold. Always keep learning. You stop doing useful things if you don't learn.
What a great thought to leave us with. Shawna, we thank you sincerely for sharing your mana'o and your insights with us today.